Shadow Slave, Chapter 33, Carapace Scavenger. Damn it! That was the only thing racing through Sunny's mind as he awkwardly fell back, narrowly escaping a deadly strike. A massive, serrated pincer slammed shut mere inches from his face with a harsh clack, bits of mud still clinging to its jagged surface. He hit the ground hard, thankful to be alive but in no position to celebrate. Lying flat on his back, he was completely exposed. Worse still, the chitinous weapon loomed just above, ready to strike again. Realizing the danger, Sunny threw himself into a desperate roll just as the pincer came crashing down, shaking the ground and splattering mud in every direction. Had he been a second slower, the force would have crushed his ribcage like paper. Scrambling to rise, he only managed to get halfway up when the pincer swiped again, this time from the side. Bracing himself, Sunny let it slam into his outstretched arms. Pain exploded through his body, but he didn't resist. Instead, he let the momentum hurl him away from the creature's range. He may not have trained in combat, but one skill he had mastered over a lifetime of surviving misfortune was how to fall without dying. Rolling through the mud, he came to a halt a short distance away, gasping, battered, but intact. You know what? I was wrong about those dramatic combat rolls. Turns out, they're a monster hunting essential. He glanced up, heart hammering. The attacker had revealed itself, rising from beneath the muddy ground like a nightmare. Towering nearly 3 meters high, it stood over him, casting a looming shadow across the ruined battlefield. Tiny, hateful eyes glared down, glowing with hunger and menace. It was one of those scavenger creatures, massive, armored, and deadly. Sunny had spent days observing their habits, only to be ambushed now. What are you doing here, you creepy crab? Shouldn't you be feasting on that giant corpse like your friends? The answer was clear. This one was wounded badly. Half of its spindly legs were shattered, and cracks in its armored hide leaked glowing blue blood. One of its pincers had been completely severed. Clearly, it had hidden beneath the mud, hoping for an easy kill. And Sunny, by sheer bad luck, had walked right into its trap. He had overestimated his shadow's perception, forgetting that it wasn't much sharper than a human's. It also made no sound and had no weight, which meant the creature hadn't reacted when it passed overhead. Unfortunately, Sunny wasn't so stealthy. Still, he might count himself lucky. If the scavenger hadn't been so badly damaged, it would have finished him already. But this wasn't the time for counting blessings. Back! He shouted to his shadow, diving to the side just in time. The monster's pincer smashed the spot he'd been in a heartbeat ago, sending shards of crimson coral flying. Sunny hit the ground again but kept moving, knowing any pause would be fatal. He had hoped the injured beast would be slow, but it moved with terrifying agility. Its blade-like legs tore through the mud in pursuit. Another vicious swing sliced through the air, forcing Sunny to duck and narrowly avoid decapitation. He stumbled, breath ragged, eyes darting for anything he could use. That's when he saw it. A long, sharp bone jutting from the earth. It was smooth, narrow, and almost spear-like. Without hesitation, he lunged, yanking the bone free with a grunt. It was over 1 meter long, ending in a sharp point. It wasn't ideal, especially since the monster's reach still far outmatched his own, but it was better than nothing. Sunny's only shot was to aim for one of the cracks in the creature's damaged shell, but getting close enough meant risking his life. One wrong move and he'd be flattened. He hesitated. Then a wild thought entered his mind. It was insane, stupid, bold, possibly both. Before he could decide whether to risk it, the pincer came at him again. He tried to dodge, but not fast enough. Pain lanced through his leg as the edge grazed him. The enchanted cloth of his armor held, but the impact hurled him back into the mud. No time to think. The beast lunged again. This time, Sunny didn't run. He stood still. The pincer closed around his torso, lifting him into the air. Agony shot through his ribs, the pressure immense. His enchanted armor, gifted from defeating an awakened foe, held against the crushing grip, but only just. His entire body strained to resist the vice-like squeeze. Then his shadow flowed back, enveloping the armor and reinforcing it with its dark power. Now the deadlock began. The monster couldn't kill him, and he couldn't escape. They stared at each other, locked in a gruesome stalemate. Then, the creature let out a screech, mandibles twitching with fury. It raised him higher, closer to its grotesque face, clearly intending to bite his head off. Why do these things always want to eat me? Am I gourmet meat or something? But Sunny remained still. His hand tightened around the bone. As the monster brought him close, he allowed the shadow to shift, coating the bone spear. Then, with every ounce of strength, he lunged forward and drove it into one of the creature's tiny, malicious eyes. The spear pierced deep. The other eye flared in rage. Gritting his teeth, ribs on fire, Sunny twisted the bone inside the creature's skull. For a second, nothing happened. Then the pressure eased. The pincer released him. Sunny collapsed into the mud. A moment later, the hulking beast followed, crashing beside him. The spear still jutted from its head, glowing blue liquid pouring out around it. Sunny groaned, sucking in a painful breath. A familiar voice rang out in his mind. You have defeated an awakened creature, Carapace Scavenger. A memory has been claimed. Azure Blade. Your shadow grows stronger.